United, and we have a full house today. We have Darren, Caldeira, we have Paul Masefield, we have Erik, Paartalu, we have Anant Tyagi, and we have Juan Sebastian Veron. Who is this fine gentleman? Anant, do you know who this fine gentleman has joined with headphones?
I think we've named him Juan Pradhyum Veron, as John Helm rightly said.
Yes. We'll talk about that in detail, but there's lots coming up on the show. Let's find out what's on the show. ATK Mohun back all 3 points against arch rivals SC East Bengal. Mumbai City FC's head coach Des Buckingham joins us on Football United. And who has been the signing of the season so far? Okay, so lots lined up, but first, Anand, we need to talk about Prad, who has a new look. Let's tell you how this came about. Let's look at the sequence of events.
You know, it's always difficult to make bold predictions this early on in the season, but I'm going to go stick my neck on the line and make one bold prediction. I don't think they're going to have any nil-nils this season, Kerala Blasters.
Does that mean that you're going to shave your head? A bold prediction, if they keep that?
That's a fair one. So if they end up with a 0-0, I'll go with that one then, mate.
Well, we'll stick with that one then. Brad there sticking his neck on the line.
After first game, I didn't play. Somebody said that Kerala will not play any game 0-0. So I want to show you that we can play 0 game. I don't know if somebody make a bet over there between you guys.
Obviously, as Erik Paartalu said, that we've lost a good man to the man bun gang, and I got a feel for you, Pratt, because NS Sipovic threw you under the bus. But maybe I agree with you slightly that it was actually Sahal Abdul Samad who missed that absolute sitter, who's had to make you look like this in the mirror.
Oh, no, absolutely. Look, I think it's great that we can inspire improved defending from the studios this year. I mean, that's the ability of our coaching. You know, you make a statement, and you know, some of us are true to our word. You know, we make a deal with them. Unlike a certain Mr. Tyagi, I still remember you have something when Robin Singh scored you were supposed to do, and we haven't forgotten.
Total respect for Brad. I mean, if you make a statement like that and you back it up by the actions, what can you say? I mean, proper man of his word. Well done, Brad.
I think all of us need to give him a round of applause. Well done. Talking of round of applause, also a round of applause for the Indian women's team. They played the formidable Brazilian team. Darren, I'll come to you. Scoring a goal against Brazil, that's big.
This is going to go down in the history books. And the women's team have been performing really well. If you look at it, it's not just this game. It has been the entire year. I think has been a great year for the women's team. They've played some top-ranked nations like, you know, your Russias and Ukraine and UAE, Bahrain, and they've had decent performances. Maybe the scoreline hasn't really reflected on the performances, but they have been brilliant the last couple of games. And Manisha Kalyan, another player who's been outstanding for the national team. We watched her recently for Gokulam as well in the women's club championship, and she's not somebody who can score goals. I mean, she can whip in a mean cross, and I think she's a brilliant winger. And this women's team looks really, really good, and I think they've got a really bright future.
That's a historic moment, right? It's the dream of every Indian kid to score against Brazil.
If you look at it, it's great that they're organising these fixtures against some of these South American teams. They're getting tremendous exposure before the Asian Cup. But I think the main thing is it has to be backed up. It can't just be these international games. They also have to make the similar kind of effort, I think, into the league, make sure that there's continuity in it, because it can't just be one-offs. You shouldn't be talking about one goal against Brazil. It should be talking about, you know, regular performances week in, week out, like what we're discussing. That way we should be discussing like week in, week out what's happening in the club football on that side. So I think if they can use this as a stepping stone and build upon that, then it'll be a tremendous day for Indian football.
One thing that's tremendous for Indian football is Dheeraj Singh. Erik, I'll come to you. He's been named in the AFC Champions League team of the season as a goalkeeper. That's a big one for an Indian player, right?
Yeah, it's massive. I don't see how that's going to happen again for quite some time, because you know, an Indian team to maybe progress past the group stages is an effort in itself. But I think India's best chance comes from being, you know, in goals, because they're going to have a lot of action, to be quite honest. But you know, Dheeraj Singh did everybody proud at FC Goa. They played tremendously well in that tournament, and you see some of the clubs that they've, you know, been aligned with there. John Bock, Hyundai, you know, Kawasaki, Al Hilal. These are massive clubs in world football, and you know, been around for a lot longer than someone like FC Goa. But that's something we need to build on. We need to keep doing well. keep giving a good account of ourselves at the Asian tournaments, because that's our market here. And hopefully for Diraj, he can take that into, you know, his club form. And, you know, maybe it just opens up a few more doors for players to go to a different level in Asia.
Mace, you've commentated and followed Asian football for years. This is big, right? Considering what some of the clubs that Erik mentioned.
To showcase as well, people will open their eyes and have a look now at Indian football and say, oh, we managed to get an Indian in the team of the season. So that in itself is absolutely huge and massive, and it puts the exposure back in India. It puts it on the national team. It puts it on the club sides as well. But for him to do what he did, and Erik's right, you're going to get a lot of practice against some of these established giants as they are in Asia. And he handled the pressure and handled it extremely well, of course. And everyone will remember that penalty save that he made, which was absolutely stunning as well. But you've got to build from here now. Next time, you can't try just to get one in. You've got to try and get two, then three. And that's what it is. It's small steps, time after time after time. But it's all started with Diraj and his heroics in the Asian Champions League.
We have seen Diraj from those under-17 days. It's a great moment of pride for, I think, everybody, right?
Let's not forget that he moved to Goa and he's been given a chance by Juan Fernando to play on the biggest stage. And he hasn't, by any means, failed to turn up in any of the games. And like Erik said, I completely agree. Obviously, when an Indian team plays in the AFC Champions League, there will be a lot of goal mouth action. So the keepers are more likely to feature in there. But you still have to get in there. And it's good that he finds himself over there. And I think he could use this as a stepping stone, because FC Goa need him now more than ever else.
Yes. And also the historic Kolkata Derby, the 372nd Derby was played. And Darren, the result, ATK Mohun would take that, right? Any day of the week.
It was a disappointing derby, to be honest. One side.
What are you saying? Disappointing for who?
Disappointing for neutrals as well as SC East Bengal fans. Because, when you talk about the derby, there's always so much of action. It felt like, the moment SC East Bengal went a goal down, they kind of gave up. You didn't see them react after the first goal. You didn't see any sort of intensity, is why I was disappointed. Like there should have been more of a fight from SC East Bengal. And in the second half, you could see ATK Mohun, they were so comfortable, started making changes, resting a few important players. And it was a walk in the park for them.
Brad?
Look, I'll agree with Darren. It wasn't one for the ages, that game, and I think it's partly because you've got two teams at the opposite ends of the spectrum. One that's a definite contender, and one that's not quite there yet. They're still in the sort of building phase.
Well, a few days ago, we caught up with the Mumbai City FC head coach Des Buckingham, and this is what he had to say. The new head coach of Mumbai City FC now joins us. Des, thank you so much. Welcome to the show and to India again. Great start in the opening game. Indian football is easy, isn't it?
Thank you for the welcome. No is the answer to that question. I think football around the world, the places that I've coached, I don't think anything's easy. But it was definitely, like you said, it was a good start. But that's all it is for us, a good start.
Des, you are the youngest head coach in the league this year. Your lead striker Igor Angulo is older than you. How's that relationship there?
Yeah, it's been a trend for me. I mean, this is my 19th season of coaching. So I started very young. So I've been fortunate with some of the experiences that I've had and the people I've worked with and the environments that I've been fortunate to work within. So for me, it's nothing new. But what's been good is coming in and working with Igor and working with the other senior players we have here. It's very much about leveraging the knowledge and the skill set that they have and working with them to make sure that we can get the best out of them and the experiences that they have can pass on to the group.
Because obviously we haven't had a chance to ask you this. So I wanted to know what that first phone call / Zoom call or Skype call was like with the Mumbai City FC guys.
It was very good. Again, there was a lot of change and it happened very quickly here. But I jumped on the call the day the announcement was made and we spoke to the playing group very briefly. But we felt as a club it was important to put a name to a face and to speak with the players and then give them some time to digest the information that they'd been given as well before it became public. So it was a good first meeting, but it's been about setting the tone for what was to come. And again, it's been nice now to actually spend some time one-on-one in person with them.
Yes, you said you've been coaching for all these years. When did you start coaching?
I started when I was 18.
18? Anant, what were we doing at 18?
I was still graduating from school, man. And clearly Des had his plans figured out much before us, which is a good thing, as you can see on the field as well. No, but one sec, Maurya, I wanted to ask Des this as well. And Des, you've been asked a lot about Lobera's success with the club. Have you had a chance to interact with Sergio and exchanged some notes with him about the assignment?
I've been in constant contact with Sergio from the moment I joined the City Football Group. So when I joined Melbourne back at the start of last season, my communication streams all the way back to December 2021 with Sergio. Not necessarily about the Mumbai job, but just sharing ideas and communicating between coaches and sharing those types of ideas. That's the wonderful thing about the platform that we have with CFG and this club especially.
Is it difficult to come to a club which is already the champion, which has been playing a certain way? Is there more pressure? Because this year you have to defend the title. First season, come on, defend the title. Is that pressure?
No, for me, it's excitement. Often when you get the chance to come into a club as a head coach, often you're following on from poor performances or things maybe haven't gone the way that the fans wanted. So when you get an opportunity to come into a very well organised and structured club, and Sergio has left this place in a fantastic space. You know, the playing group, the staff group, there's still a big core of those that are here. And the big thing that's noticeable, it's a real sense of family.
And this is your first taste of Indian football. What have you made of some of the Indian footballers in your squad and overall of the league?
I was very impressed with the level of football when I first got wind of the job becoming an opportunity and watching the ISL games. Very impressed with the level of football. Bearing in mind how young the league is, you know, it's obviously again the 8th season, so it's still a developing league. But from talking to the players that we have here, the one thing that has really struck me is how willing to learn the Indian players in particular are. Since I've come in, they've been so receptive to ideas. Bear in mind they were successful last year as well. It's very easy for players to almost say, I know we were successful last year, let us carry on. But very receptive to new ideas, very open-minded, and very willing to learn. And that's been the biggest thing that struck me coming in.
I know you made some key signings as well, but when you first got the job and you saw the likes of Hugo, Amrinder, Hernan Santana, Lefondre and Ogbeche leave, were you like, cheers mate, thanks, now I have to just start from scratch all over again?
No, I think that happens around the world in any club. You know, it's very rare that you're able to sustain the whole squad. And players want different challenges, you know, especially once they've been successful. People will leave for different reasons. But what was pleasing, looking at the changes that were made, the club moved quite quickly on trying to replace those players. And I'm very happy with the players that have come in and taken those places.
Des, you spoke about the City Football Group. Tell us a bit more about how behind the scenes, from what it seems that there's a constant exchange of ideas between the various coaching staff of the various clubs. But that's great, right? Because across the globe, you also have a way to look at players which you otherwise could not. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think for me the exciting thing about being involved is that ability to leverage ideas and skill sets from other people that if I was just here as an isolated club, you get the access to. And it's not just me as a coach, I've got access to the other coaches around the league and support from Manchester from people that look after us. But it also extends to the strength and conditioning, to the medical team. So what it does allows us to exchange ideas and best practice, which hopefully helps everybody across the network, including the club here.
Des, along with all the big names in Mumbai, there are lots of youngsters. It's a fairly youngish Indian squad in that ways. Is it different the way you deal with some of these youngsters? Even saying Apuya, he's a big name now, but he's still a kid, right? Nawaz, he's still a kid. Do you deal with them differently?
Not really. No, the biggest thing I've found in the last 10 years, especially in the senior space, is they're all very different people, very different ways of working. The key is getting to understand and get to know them and how they work and building those relationships. And to give you an example, I've sat last night with Navaz, I sat with Vikram, I sat with Apuya. And what we've put in place for all of the players, not just the young players, is an individual development plan. So it allows us to really look at what we want to develop with them. They're aware of it.
It's been a great chat, Des. Just one final question about the fans. Have you had a chance to interact with some of them digitally? And if you haven't, what's your message to the Mumbai City FC faithful?
I know there's a call being set up or planned to be set up very soon with the fans. I've had some interaction or a lot of interaction and messages from the fans via social media and the like, so that's always appreciated. But it's not just been the support from Mumbai and our fans, it's been the support from around India. Please continue to support us, please continue to get behind us, and hopefully we can continue to show what we did against Goa on the field over a sustained period of time.
Amen to that, Des. Thanks a lot for your time.
Pleasure, nice to meet the pair of you.
Okay, so Des Buckingham's Mumbai got up to a flyer against Goa, but then not the best result against Hyderabad. But we have seen all 11 teams. Erik, standout team for you so far. Early days?
Yeah, I think Everyone's going to say ATK Mombagan, but for me, I'm going to say someone different. I think Chennai, just from a tactical point of view. You just see all these coaches at the moment coming into the league, the new coaches, and opening themselves up a little bit too much. I just think, tactically, he's probably the best manager in the league. And I think Chennai will have, I won't say he'll have a 1-0 every single game and shave my head, but I think they'll have, most of their games will be 1-0 this year.
Mace, standout team for you?
You go with what you see and you go with fact. ATK Mombagan. They're going to blow everybody away this year. There's no question, no queries, no doubts about that, unless they get a couple of injuries. But they are streets ahead of everybody else at the moment.
Anant, standout team for you?
Even before I get to that, I want you guys to save this soundbite forever, because there will come a time when we'll have to ask Mace about this one. But about me, I think Odisha benefited from Gurpreet having that off day. So they got that early goal. Otherwise, I really like the look of that side. It's the youngest side in the ISL as well. So Odisha, because they benefited, I wouldn't go with them. I'll go with Hyderabad instead, because even with 2-1 up, they just kept coming at Mumbai City FC. They wanted to make it 3-1 just to add more cushion to the scoreline, and just love how Manolo Marquez, deals with some of the youngsters in there. And with big man Bartok Beche there, I'll always be looking out for Hyderabad.
Darren, standout team?
For me, after the season they had last time around, and they've gotten a couple of really good foreign players in, and we spoke about the balance, right? We spoke about that.
Great recruitment, we must say.
Yeah, it's great recruitment. So credit to everyone behind the scenes for getting the right players in, and they've got a lot of young players starting as well. So I think there's a great balance in that team.
Pad, you've heard all of them. Your standout team of the season?
I think just the way Coyley's got his team set up, because you look at the players that they have and the way they can nullify threat. And I think Jamshedpur's got the ability to grind out dirty results with Hartley and Elisabi at the back. They can play out a draw.
And a good attack also.
Like Savalskis and Murray and Stewart, they can also cause a lot of problems for any team in this league. So I think for that reason, I think Jamshedpur are going to be the ones to watch for me.
Okay, so there you heard it. The teams that are standing out so far. Odisha seems to be a standout team. They seem to have got their house in order after last season. Let's see how Hector Rodas has got his room in order. Time for a short breather, but watch this. We'll come back with much more in the second segment.
Hi, I'm Hector Rodas, and today I want to give you my room tour. This is a space to my family, because it's important for me to feel close with them, and this is a lot of photos about them. My small dog, my kids, this is my princess, my wife, my big kid, This is so funny. And my father, for example, is here. This is a party in my city, Fallas, for example. My mother, my sister, so I need to feel close to my family, because now it's too difficult for me, because we stay 5-6 months very far. Now I give you a tour for my professional corner. I use this because my English is more or less, regular, but now I need some words to work, because in my position I want to talk so much, to talk with my teammates and positions, so I need some words that I never use. For example, shift for the team go to left or to right, drop back to take the good position, and a lot of words that I need and I want to learn all the day, and I think I help my teammates if I learn these things, so it's important for me. And now I want to give the tour in my last corner. This is the flags for my country, Spain, and my city, Valencia. And I want to feel close to my city, to my customs, to my family. So it's important for me that I fight too for them, And I'm really happy to wake up and see my flags. So it's important for me too.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on this episode of Football United. I've taken charge from Maurya for this segment because it's a very special one. We're going to be focusing our attention with our huge starcast on the biggest signing, or should we say the most impressive signing of the season so far. So Maurya, you want to take over now?
Yes, thank you, Anand. Last time, Prad was the last to go, but now Prad, first up, who has looked like the standout signing of the season? Has to be a new player, hasn't signed for a new club, as in he could have moved within the league.
Okay, someone who's moved into the league and a new player. I think for me, I mean, I think I've said this already, but standout performer so far, Erik Paartalu. I think, he's just comfortable. He's just comfortable on the touch screen, the tactical knowledge he gives, smooth. His first time in the comms booth, it was smooth as if he's been like a veteran of this league doing it. And the performance at the moment, I think sadly, maybe in the January transfer window, someone's going to come and nick him off us and might move across the bubble.
I'm learning from the best. So thank you very much.
But Brad, on the field,
I'm going to go with an Indian player. And for me, I think Liston Colasso's move. It's always difficult. You had a good season and you move to a star-studded team. Sometimes you think, should he have moved there? Will he get the games? And he's just hit the ground running. 2 games, 2 goals. And the way that just bodes well for the national team.
Darren?
I'm going to go with Yoni Kauko because he's somebody, I watched him the first time for the AFC Cup and, he's somebody who's just played in the Euros a couple of months ago. So, he's got a lot of quality and he's showing that on the pitch. He's a proper box-to-box midfielder, can put in the tackles, create goals, score goals as well. So he looks like a complete player for me.
Erik, signing of the season?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. I'd actually like to say probably a coach. If that's okay. Des Buckingham, I probably was very critical of him at the start of the season. You just see his positivity on the sidelines, getting the troops going, and also a bit of a masterstroke to put Joel a bit further forward and allow Apuya to play in that role and have the guts to leave someone like a Roland Borges out. It's not an easy task, and we've seen that time and time again. Coaches coming in and not making those hard decisions. So I think he's a guy who's got, he's quite young, but he's quite, astute in his managerial sense. So I think Des Buckingham.
Yep, and for me, signing of the season, I'll ask myself, is Cassio Gabriel. I think to come in to replace Hugo Bumu, very different player, but I think he's looked like a standout player. Mace, standout signing for you?
Hugo Bumu at 80 came on began. He can pick the ball up and he runs. And when he's got Krishna with the movement he's got off the ball, he's got Kauko making that movement. He's got pace with Liston. I think that's a very astute signing as well. And that's why I said I think they've got a plethora of talent. And they are the side to catch and the side to watch this season.
Anant, for you, signing of the season?
See, I thought no one's going to pick Hugo Bumu because he's such an obvious choice.
I'm not sitting on that.
I sometimes feel he's too good for the league as well. But that's Bumu for you. He just puts up a show every time. But I'll go with Perosovic for SC East Bengal. If, for the sake of their fan base, SC East Bengal are going to bounce back in this season, I think Perosovic will have a huge role to play. He got a lonely figure in the Kolkata Derby, and we discussed that on the show as well. He had no support as well. But if at all SC East Bengal are going to bounce back, I think they're going to rely heavily on that man, and I think he has the arsenal to deliver.
Interesting, no one mentioned Barton, but yes, it's club to club, but I think he will be crucial if Hyderabad have to do well. Okay, quickly, standout Indian player so far. Anand first.
Standout Indian player has got to be Liston Colasso. There's no looking.
Not Manveer.
Not Manveer. Liston Colasso. Easy.
Darren, quickly, standout Indian player.
Yeah, it has to be Liston Colasso so far.
Mace.
Liston.
Brad.
I've already picked him as my standout player, so I can't change. Liston.
Erik.
I think Barreto for Kerala. He's not, a big player to play this year. I think maybe we need to see more of him, but I think, he could be quite the package.
Yeah, and it was also great to see somebody like a Rohit Danu. Came with a lot of expectation, finally getting some game time and scoring a goal. On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for being on this episode of Football United. We have covered a lot of base. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Use the hashtag Football United to let us know what you made of the show. And until next time, bye-bye.